2,400 years ago, long before laboratories, microscopes, or modern science, one man stood on the edge of the known world, his hands deep in the mysteries of the sea. He wasn't just observing the waves, he was dissecting sea creatures, sketching their anatomy, and documenting their behaviors with a precision that would baffle scientists for centuries to come. What if I told you that the very first marine biologist lived in an age of myth and legend, armed with nothing but a sharp knife and an even sharper mind? How could someone from the ancient world uncover secrets of the ocean that we would only rediscover 2 millennia later? This is the story of a philosopher who got his hands dirty, and in doing so, wrote the first chapter in our understanding of life beneath the waves. Our story begins not in a grand Athenian academy, but on the quiet, sun-drenched island of Lesbos in the Aegean Sea. Here, around 345 BC, Aristotle, the man we remember as a titan of philosophy, spent 2 of the most productive years of his life. But he wasn't just contemplating the nature of existence. He was a naturalist, a biologist, a man driven by an insatiable curiosity for the living world. Every day, he would walk the shores, wading into the lagoons, peering into tidal pools. He wasn't afraid to get elbow-deep in the work. He collected specimens brought in by local fishermen, carefully dissecting everything from squid to sea urchins. He wasn't just looking, he was observing, measuring, and recording. On scrolls of papyrus, he documented the intricate details of their bodies, their life cycles, and their habits. He was a lone scientist in a world that barely understood what science was. He didn't have a team or a university to support him. It was just Aristotle, the creatures of the sea, and a relentless desire to understand how life worked. This was observation in its purest form, the very foundation upon which all modern biology would eventually be built. Imagine
Whales
the
and
world
dolphins
at this
were
time.
just big fish,
Most people
strange
saw
and
the ocean
knowable.
as a realm of monsters and gods. Whales and dolphins were just big fish, strange and unknowable. But Aristotle saw something different. As he watched them, he noticed things that didn't add up. They didn't have gills. Instead, they surfaced to breathe air through a blowhole. He noted they didn't lay eggs like fish. They gave birth to live young. And most astonishingly, he observed that the mothers produced milk and nursed their babies, just like land mammals. He put the pieces together with stunning clarity. These were not fish. They were air-breathing, warm-blooded mammals that had adapted to a life in the sea. He classified them in a group entirely separate from fish, a conclusion so radical for its time it was almost unthinkable. And yet, for nearly 2,000 years, this profound discovery was largely ignored, forgotten, or dismissed. The world went back to calling them big fish. It's a powerful and humbling reminder that scientific knowledge isn't a straight line forward. It can be lost, buried under dogma and disbelief, waiting centuries to be unearthed once more. The truth was right there, recorded on a scroll, but humanity simply wasn't ready to listen. Aristotle's genius wasn't limited to a single breakthrough. The sheer scale and accuracy of his work are mind-boggling. Over his lifetime, he documented more than 500 different animal species, many of them marine. He described the internal anatomy of sharks, the reproductive habits of catfish, and the strange ability of the torpedo ray to deliver an electric shock. But perhaps his most unbelievable observation was made on the octopus. He described in meticulous detail how the male octopus had a special modified tentacle, which he called the hectocotylus. He wrote that this arm was used to transfer sperm to the female during mating. Think about that. He had no way to magnify what he was seeing, no way to film the behavior. He figured this out through patient, repeated observation alone. This specific, incredible detail was so advanced that later scientists, even into the 18th and 19th centuries, dismissed it as pure fantasy. They thought Aristotle must have made a mistake. It wasn't until 1853, when the French naturalist Georges Cuvier reconfirmed the function of the hectocotylus, that the world finally caught up. Aristotle had been right all along. Time and time again, modern marine biologists armed with advanced technology have found themselves simply verifying the observations he made with his own two eyes over 2 millennia ago. It's a testament to his unbelievable skill as a scientist. So, if his work was so groundbreaking, why was it lost for so long? How did we forget the father of biology? The answer lies in the shifting tides of human history. After Aristotle's death, the intellectual world took a different turn. His philosophical works on logic and ethics were celebrated and copied, but his hands-on biological studies were seen as less important, less noble. The new era favored abstract thought over messy, real-world observation. As the Roman Empire fell and Europe entered the Dark Ages, many of his original texts were lost or destroyed. Libraries burned, and with them, centuries of knowledge vanished. What survived was often filtered through commentators who valued authority over evidence. For hundreds of years, science became a matter of reading what the ancient authorities had written, not going out into the world to see for yourself. The very spirit of Aristotle's method, direct, personal, empirical observation, was abandoned. The cost was immense. We spent nearly 2,000 years in the dark about things Aristotle had already figured out, simply because we had stopped looking. Today, as we send robotic submersibles into the deepest ocean trenches and use DNA sequencing to map the tree of life, it's easy to feel disconnected from that ancient world. But the spirit of Aristotle is alive in every field scientist who puts on their boots and heads out to observe the world firsthand. He proved that groundbreaking science doesn't always happen in a sterile lab. It happens in the mud, in the water, in the patient act of watching and wondering. Aristotle's legacy isn't just a collection of facts, it's a way of seeing the world. It's the understanding that the greatest truths are often waiting right in front of us, if only we have the patience and the courage to look closely. The first marine biologist didn't have a modern laboratory or a research grant. He had curiosity and the sea. And with that, he changed the world. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this journey into the past, consider subscribing for more stories about the hidden history of science.